Hello friends, my name is Theo, and today in this exciting Meet Media, I guess kind of tutorial, kind of review, kind of just rambling, which is why we've got the face cam going for a little bit. We're going to be talking about the tangent element control surface and why I finally broke down and decided to buy a control surface and why I'm super into it. So, I sort of got to the point where I was noticing when I was doing color, especially with remote sessions with clients, I was starting to feel like I wasn't able to go as fast as I wanted to. During a session. So I thought about it, and really, like a lot of the things that were slowing me down and causing me to grade less good than I probably could have were things like moving windows around. So I did some research, and I went to a Blackmagic event, and they had their control surfaces out, and I touched one. I said, "I'm sold. I'll buy one right now." They didn't have any there, so I did some more research, and I found these set of tangent panels. So these are 4 modular things. So you can buy just the center part or just these 2 or just this one. And they all have a USB interface. You can plug them in. And these don't just work for Resolve. Oh, sorry, they're a little messy. They don't only work for Resolve, but they also work for Premiere and whatever else. You can map stuff for some applications and make it work. So they've got a huge list of application support, and the Blackmagic ones only work for Resolve. And since I'm not a very software loyal fanboy person, I sort of go where I think stuff is the best. Paying a lot of money for something like this, it makes me feel better if I know that I can use this with whatever software I want instead of just only being able to use it in Resolve. Because these aren't super inexpensive. They have the tangent wave, which is sort of basically just like this center section, but a little bit different. So I guess, before we get into actually using these, I'll break this down from left to right. This is the button panel. So this lets you select a bunch of different stuff. So you've got, go to node here, add serial, add parallel, do whatever. And this links up very well with the knob panel. So this is really what makes me very happy. This knob panel I ended up really liking a lot. So if you're going to use these without all 4, you have to have both of these for Resolve to work. You can't just get the button or just the knob. You need to use both of these together. And then you've got the center one, which is your lift, gamma, gain. You've got reset the RGB difference, reset the luminance, got that for each knob. And you've got an AB button, and then you've got the multifunction panel, which between you and me isn't super duper necessary. I'd say go ahead and look on eBay and find a used version, and it'll normally come with all 4, and it'll be less expensive than buying even just these 3 new. So I got these refurbished from Tangent because I reached out and said, hey, if I make a video. So I still had to pay, a pretty significant amount of money for these. But, when I can use my YouTube clout, I might as well do it. But this will do things like jog you around. It's got, what I really like are these just next and previous clip buttons. These are what I use the most. We've got node features. I like using the previous node, next node, when just grading around. So if you're using these with a keyboard, which I am and would recommend, then you really don't need this panel at all. So if you want to buy new, but you want to save some money, I'd say you don't really need this guy. This wheel can't be used as offset. So we only have lift, gamma, and gain. There isn't an offset control that I know of. So that's sort of a bummer. Now let's go ahead and open up Resolve just so I can get some better light on me while we keep doing this. Oh. Ew. Which one of these shots lights me the best? I've got the OLED going, so we get some very serious. There we go. That's nice. Let's get this so I look a little bit cooler here. There we go. Now I'm lit right. Lighting from monitors. Cool. So you saw I was able to just really quickly dial in just a little bit of grade just by twiddling these around. There's a couple more things I want to talk about before we get into actually using them. So you can see I've been using them for a couple weeks now. So they aren't as pristine as they used to be because I like to eat snacks at my desk. Another reason why I got these is because they're really nice size. The Blackmagic panels are these really, there's the mini one, which, I mean, why bother? And there's a micro one and the mini one. The mini one is sort of the one to get, and that's around the $3,000 mark. I think these are about $3,500 new. Whoop. So I'd definitely say go for these as opposed to Blackmagic ones. The Blackmagic one looks a little bit sexier in some ways. I think the screens are a little bit cooler looking, but really when you're grading, you're sort of looking up here. And sort of the point of these is so you don't really have to look down at your screen as much. So we can see if I want to grade this shot before, I would be looking down. If you look at me on the face cam, I'll leave this here. See, if I was grading this with the mouse and keyboard, you see, you might be going down here and sort of see. I'm not sure how well you can see this. I'm going to make, I know this is sort of silly, but just keep track of where my eyes are going in this. So before, and notice my grading monitor is, my really reference monitor is up here. And this is my GUI monitor. So, I mean, they're pretty close. They're both good monitors, but really I should be looking up there. So if I go through, see, I'm really sort of like grading out of my peripheral vision for getting a lot of stuff done. And that's, you know, you can do it that way. But if you have these panels, I know lift gamma gain's right here, so I can look up. And right now there's sort of a camera in the way of the thing, but see, I'm able to just dial this in really fast. And if you saw when I was using the scroll wheel, you get these sort of big steps. So it's going from -6 to -7. But if I use this wheel, you can see we're getting changes that are even more subtle than are really shown there. So it's made me like a better, more subtle color. So let's go ahead and drop this back down, because no one needs that much Theo in their life at all. So you can see we're able to just really easily dial these things in. If I want to cool down the shadows. So the biggest learning curve is trying to just not have the visual reference for the color wheels. So you just, I know it's a little thing, but just remembering, okay, my sort of cyans are like, you know, the 4-ish, 5-ish position, warming up, not that. But then we have these button and knob controls. I can go ahead and turn this off. We don't need this anymore. So these are really what gets me going. So if we hit like Alt-C, so if we hit Alt-C to create a new circle window, now I can go B window, I can size this down and tilt it up, pan it over, change the aspect, do a softening. All this time I'm able to look at the screen or, you know, talk to a client or whatever. And so now I've got that going. So now we can primary, add contrast, change the pivot, just like that. We can track this. Since we're on this screen, I would normally hit Control-T or Alt-T, but you can also go back to Window and track forward if you don't feel like learning the keyboard shortcuts, which is fine if you've got one of these panels because they're all built in. So actually this is looking a little bit contrasty, so we'll go back to primary, bring the contrast down some. And now it's looking a little bit nicer. Maybe bring the contrast down here too. And you see you can move around really quickly. And now here is the thing that really gets me excited is, you'll know if you watch my tutorials very often, that I really like to add an outside node, invert the key, and do more corrections in the same key with a different node. So if you hit Alt-O, before you would have to go all the way over to our key tab and then hit invert, remember which button it is, and then there it is. And that's terrible. Nobody wants to do all that work and look down at the screen for that long and just remember all that stuff. So now you can hit Alt-O, B, key, invert. There you go, just like that. So now we can go back and we can, you know, maybe warm up down there, cool down there, scoot that around some, just do whatever we want. We can move on to the next shot. So here we've got this, grade it really fast, get this going, dial that in, a primary, saturation down some. Oh, and you can click the knobs if you want to reset your adjustment. So if you bring the saturation down too far, pop that. Then we can increase the contrast a little more. Now this is nice and dramatic. Maybe we want to warm this up. The temperature, and there we go. So you see how much faster it is to just be able to go on here and have everything at your fingertips. You don't have to move the mouse and get it working and click, which is just, I mean, as much of a first world problem as it is, it does kind of suck, especially if you're moving fast, if you're charging a bunch per hour. You can charge more per hour if you can move faster. I mean, obviously, if you get more work done, you're worth more per hour. So that's sort of one of the reasons why, guys, because I know I'm not the cheapest guy in the world. I'm not the most expensive guy in the world, but not the cheapest guy. So it's nice to be able to do more work in less amount of time. And then you can spend more time walking around or just watching Netflix or doing whatever you want to do. So next clip, got this. Primary bounced a little bit. I don't really like using curves on the control surface that much, just because I find it a little easier to use the mouse for that. So if we want to soften up these shadows some, is that Alt S, temperature down maybe. Alt S will create a new key. This I'll use clicking. We have key controls on here, so it's HSL qualifier. We can bring our width down if we want to do it that way. But I still prefer just clicking and dragging. But if you want to get totally away from the keyboard, you can do it that way too. Blur that out. I don't think that they have. Yeah, they don't have all of the matte finesse controls on here. So we don't have the denoise control, which I generally prefer over the blur radius. But you see now I've got that, so we can bring some life in there. Alt O, take the life out of the rest of it, bring it down some. Maybe bring this up a little bit because the lighting is not super ideal. We can go back to reducing some more contrast, make it sort of just a little bit nicer. There you go. So, that's not a very good looking grade at all. There you go. Moves around something else. Really easy just to reset. You don't have to click on anything. Super nice. And you can move two things around at once. So this is obviously all too much. So you can Alt L and just overlay original on top of this. To show another great feature, so we can go back to our key tab and we just got our opacity control right there, so we can blend this in very easily while looking straight at the screen. Because sometimes, I'm not sure if you guys have ever run into this, but I would click on the control down here and go and adjust and nothing would be happening. That's because I didn't actually grab it. I was maybe over here. I was like, why is nothing happening? So now I know I've got my finger on the knob. You can see those values updating, just looking just like that. And so we'll do one more shot. We'll just play around. So this is, nice, easy little interview shot. So you just make it look good. Reduce the saturation some. And at first it might seem sort of weird with all these A and B and selecting stuff, but you get used to it really quick because really there isn't that much that you do all the time in color grading. So I already know I want to get the primaries. I know I've got my saturation control right here. That's looking good. Maybe want to brighten this up just a little bit more. We'll hit Alt-C for a new circle window. Hit B window. Bring the size down, aspect, and up and to the side. And you can operate both of these controls at the same time, which is super cool. And rotate it a little bit while panning it over. And then track forward. So, goodness, let's just go back and turn off perspective 3D, and hopefully this time it will behave a little better. There we go. Faster and looks much better. Basically, always turn off perspective 3D. I wish that there was a default option. You just have that unchecked unless I really need something with 3D stuff. So shift tilde to turn that off, and that will sort of brighten him up more. Hit Alt O to go to the outside, sort of cool this down a little bit, bring it down some. A nice, easy little thing. Maybe we've got these blown out windows in the background. Not really blown out, but just not a lot of detail. We can make those look a little more atmospheric by dropping a little glow on here. And bring this threshold down. There we go. Now I've got some nice little glow in the background. Looks cooler. Maybe if we want to have a little more fun. Whoop. Warm him up a little bit. Cool this down a little more. And you can see just how much quicker it is to be able to use two hands to grade instead of just one hand. So do we have another clip? This is so much fun. Here. This one I haven't done. Goodness, I need to. Shift 4. Right click. This is input transform. This is this. All right, there we go. There we go. Now we can sort of degrade this a little bit. You saw I accidentally hit this B button, which disables the color or bypasses. So make this look sort of goofy. We'll bring magenta back. We'll warm it up a little bit, make it feel like a real country music video. It's a little bit clippy. See, do we have my UI is all goofy, so scopes are hidden. There we go. It's rocking and rolling there. Maybe we will just add some overall mid-tone detail for stuff. Just real quick, we can really change that shot around, make it look a little bit more inviting than that. So let's turn this back on since we're doing some more talky stuff. And let's relight myself again just because I think that's so funny. Don't look at the grade. Just look at the face cam. Let's see. There we go. That's a little more normal for me. Obviously, just hide this. Go to toggle display mode. There we go. So anyway, that's sort of the deal about why I ended up going with this particular unit. Some other things, like I said, the tangent does make the wave, which is a much smaller one. There's a video where a guy uses the tangent wave in combination with the MIDI grade panel, which I looked at, but the MIDI grade panel doesn't interface directly with Resolve like this does. It sort of uses some auto hotkey magic or something like that. I didn't really like that for doing professional work, but if it's a much cheaper option, I think using both those together will get you basically the same functionality as this section of the machine, but for under $1,000. Well, these are all like $1,000 each, basically, a little bit less. I also like that these are, like I said before, I like that these are also compatible with a bunch of different pieces of software, not just DaVinci Resolve, which I think is ridiculous to get an expensive set of panels like that for just one application. Even if I'm probably never going to use this for other stuff, I'll still use like the jog wheel in Premiere and stuff because I really love using jog wheels. And now, do you need these to be a professional colorist? Absolutely not. If you ever listen to the Colorist podcast, you'll know like half the people on there, like the guy always asks if they use panels, and like half the people say they don't. And you super don't need to. I'm still not going to use them for tutorials just because, doing this is sort of an enigma for most people. So it just makes more sense. And then I don't have to set up this silly overhead cam for each one, which is nice. So I'll still not use them for tutorials or for teaching stuff. But for grading, for professional grading work, this has made me a much faster, and I'm able to get more iterations done in less time. So I think it's made my grading actually better. So like I said, for most of the people watching this, like if you have the extra money to spend, go ahead and do it. If not, invest in like a better graphics card or something. That'll make a bigger difference. But if you're someone who's getting plenty of color work, you've got a good machine, and you're sort of thinking about it, these are the ones that I own and I really enjoy. Oh, and one thing I didn't talk about, these are really fun to use. It makes coloring so much fun. These feel really good. They're like just the perfect amount of resistance. When I first got these, the lift ball was a little bit gritty, but now that I've used it some, it's smoothed out and it's totally fine. Yeah, these are really fun to use. They make coloring a lot more fun. If a client's over and they see you, doing with all this other stuff, these Instagram well, and they're impressive. So I know it's sort of a silly thing, but that's not something to discount, is that these panels do Instagram well. So if you're one of those people that really likes that, this is something. But yeah, I think that's sort of the gist of it. I really like these a lot. I would recommend them if you feel like you're ready for them. If you don't feel like you're getting the amount of work to justify them, you totally don't need them to do professional work at all. If you're working at a company and they have a bunch of money and you want these and you can convince your boss to buy them for you, go for it. I guess that's my situation. I'm my boss and I convince myself to buy them for me. Any of the sort of gripes that I have with the panel are on Blackmagic side because they don't let you reassign mappings. So that's one thing, because it'd be really nice to just have all of my normally used functions here without having to switch around. And it'd be really nice to have this be my offset control, but it's not. If you want, Tangent has the arc panel, which is much more expensive and much bigger. It does have an offset control. So if you want to go for that, that's very Instagrammable, very cool looking. But Another not insignificant reason for getting this setup is this fits on my desk. If I was going to use the Blackmagic one, I have to be over here and doing this sort of thing. And I have to, this just fits really nicely. So move my monitor back a little bit, which is easy to do. Put these fit really nice. They're a really nice size. They're like 1.5 keyboards big, 1.25 keyboards deep. I think this will fit on a lot of people's setups. You can, if you want to also, you could totally split these up. I can move these here if I wanted to and have these right here. So that's another great thing about these being modular. Another thing that, like I said, this is more on Blackmagic side than Tangent side, is I wish that I could buy like a couple of these knobs things and just have them all ready all the time to like sort of replace a bigger panel, especially since it's modular. Then you could buy them like, $800 or so at a time instead of buying one big multi-$1,000 piece of equipment. But yeah, I think that's sort of the gist of what I had to say. It's sort of a rambly video, probably not the most informative thing, but this is sort of what I was looking for whenever I was finding them, because a bunch of the videos are like, here's me unboxing them, here's how to set them up with Resolve, which if you're spending this amount of money on a piece of gear for Resolve, you've seen that here's where you do panels stuff is control panels, like right there. Like, you've seen that. That's not going to help you guys out very much. The things to take away are modular, can be used with lots of pieces of software, speeds you up, lets you make more refined grades easier. You can get the same, refined control by clicking and dragging, but I like using the scroll wheel. So this lets me just be a lot more subtle. And it's a lot of fun to use. It's a lot of stinking fun to use. And they look impressive. So if you like this video, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. No matter what, if you use control surfaces, let me know your feelings down. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Have you wanted to use them? Like I said, I got these because I got the chance to use some and just immediately was like, yep, sold. I want them. Get enough color work to justify them. They look cool on my desk. But yeah, I don't really know how to close this. I just really like these a lot. I've been talking about them. So 2 thumbs up for me. If you've got the money to spend on a control surface, this is what I'd recommend. This has everything I want basically within reason without going to a whole big panel. So yeah, that's the end. I will put a link for these, an Amazon link down in the description if you want to check them out. I'll try and figure out an affiliate thing so I can get a kickback. Tangent doesn't have an affiliate program, unfortunately, so I couldn't get any sort of discounts or anything for you guys. And I did ask. I asked for it. So no, I'm pulling for you. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, also check out MeesterMedia.com/products. We've got all sorts of stuff. Make your stuff better. If you've made it through this long, or maybe you're new, because I haven't done much producty stuff like this before. So MeesterMedia.com/products. We've got a bunch of lookup tables there if you want a bunch of cool looks. I've also got stock footage, which recently people have been really liking, like lens flares and light leaks and stuff like that. There's some very cool new stuff coming up there soon. So if you get some of the free stuff, you're automatically put on an email list that I send out like 2 emails a year on. One is on Black Friday and one is like a little after Black Friday, telling you like, hey, everything's on sale. So yeah, there's free stuff on there too. Check it out. MeesterMedia.com/products. Just go and spend some time there so I can feel cool about my analytics. What's it going to be with Mr. Media? Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.